The biggest difference between a beginner and an experienced photographer is not knowing more camera settings. It is knowing when the camera is likely to struggle. Imagine you're exploring an old European town on a bright summer afternoon. The narrow streets are lined with tall stone buildings that cast deep shadows across the cobbles, while balconies and upper windows are bathed in direct sunlight. You compose your photograph and immediately notice the problem. If you expose for the bright buildings, the street below becomes almost black. If you expose for the shadows, the sunlit stonework loses all its detail. Rather than accepting compromise, an experienced photographer recognizes that the scene exceeds the camera's dynamic range and captures several bracketing exposures instead. Now imagine visiting a ruined castle or medieval fortress. You're standing inside a dark stone archway looking across a brightly lit valley. Your eyes can comfortably see both the texture of the ancient walls and the landscape beyond, but the camera cannot. One exposure will quickly lose the shadows inside the archway or completely overexpose the view outside. Exposure bracketing preserves both. Waterfalls often present a similar challenge, particularly on sunny days. The rushing white water reflects huge amounts of light, whilst the surrounding rocks, moss and woodland remain in deep shade. Exposing for the water can make the forest almost black, while exposing for the shadows can destroy the details in the highlights. Taking multiple exposures gives you the flexibility to produce a much more balanced final image. City photography creates its own dynamic range problems. Picture a modern glass office building reflecting the afternoon sun while pedestrians walk through shaded streets below. The reflections are extremely bright while the ground level remains comparatively dark. A single exposure often struggles to record both successfully, making exposure bracketing a useful technique. Even inside your own home, you may encounter the same issue. Imagine photographing a bright kitchen with a large patio doors opening onto a sunny garden. Expose for the room and the garden becomes a featureless white blur. Expose for the garden and the kitchen falls into darkness. Interior photographers regularly bracket scenes like this because they know a single image rarely captures everything. Museums and galleries can be equally challenging. Spotlights illuminate paintings and sculptures against dark walls, creating huge differences between highlights and shadows. Preserving the artwork often loses shadow detail elsewhere, while brightening the room risks overexposing the exhibits. Bracketing provides far greater flexibility during editing. Of course, not every photograph needs exposure bracketing. A portrait taken in open shade, flowers photographed on an overcast day, or products photographed under controlled studio lighting all have relatively low contrast. In these situations, a single exposure is usually more than sufficient. Likewise, scenes with a lot of movement are often poor candidates for HDR merging. Busy streets filled with people, waves crashing against rocks, cyclists passing through a frame, or birds flying overhead can all move between exposures, creating unwanted ghosting. In these situations, photographers may still bracket simply to choose the best exposure later, but combining the images is often impractical. A simple decision tree makes the process even easier. First, ask yourself whether the scene contains very bright highlights and very dark shadows. If not, just take a normal photograph. If it does, ask whether the subject is moving. If there's significant movement, bracket only if you plan to select the best single exposure afterwards. If the scene is largely static, use automatic exposure bracketing or manual bracketing and consider blending the images into natural-looking HDR photographs during editing. With practice, this entire thought process takes only a second and soon becomes exactly how photographers think.